It's Monday morning, the 23rd of March. Just waiting at Gatwick Airport for our flights to Cyprus. We're off for a week, so no West Ham Weekly tonight, I'm afraid. I do apologise. No other shows. It's an international break as well, I guess, so I'm sure there'll be plenty of news to pick up on. But this is just a quick reflection on the game against Aston Villa. Now that the dust has settled a bit, my thoughts on the game itself and how it all went. And an update. Let's do an update first with Jean-Claire Todibo, who apparently has also a calf injury. What's going on with all these calf injuries? It's not thought to be serious, a little bit like Crescencio Somerville. So good thing about having an international break is that now Somerville and Todibo will have a good couple of weeks to rest, recuperate, and hopefully be ready for the game against Leeds United. Probably, given that that's a cup game, neither of them may have featured. It's quite possible that there'll be not a makeshift team, but maybe the likes of Todibo and Somerville would not necessarily have been in the starting lineup anyway. So with that, that means they've got a good 3 weeks to recuperate, a good 3 weeks to recover and get themselves fit. And my understanding is that Somerville's only just missed out. I know he didn't make the Netherlands squad. He'll be disappointed with that, which is a real shame. But at least now, both him and Todibo will be ready, fingers crossed, for the Wolverhampton game, which is what, 3? Can't remember, but it's well into April, isn't it? So we've got the international break, and then we've got the Leeds United FA Cup game. The understanding is that neither of them are likely to be starters. They may have been on the bench, maybe, but at least it means they've got that extra bit of time to get themselves fit and ready for the game against Wolverhampton Wanderers on a Friday night. It's a good thing about having an international break. We don't normally like them at West Ham, do we? Because when an international break happens, we always come back a bit sluggish. Well, ironically, we finished the last game before the international break very, very sluggish, and getting on to the game against Aston Villa. People are complaining about the lineup. Let's be really honest here. Todibo pulled out at the last minute. That kind of scuppered Nuno's plans, and he had to make. He could have gone. People said, well, if you were training all week to go with a back five, then he should have brought Kilman on. He should have put Kilman in the side instead of Potts. Let's be really, really honest here. How many of you would have been happy if Max Kilman was in the starting lineup? You got to be honest and say, clearly you wouldn't have wanted that. You wouldn't have liked that. You would have complained and moaned, and if would have got beaten, you would have put it down to Nuno selecting Kilman in the starting lineup. So I think Nuno was on a bit of a hiding to nothing here. I think when we saw the changed lineup with Potts coming in place of an injured Todibo, a lot of us went, great, that's 4 at the back. And then we got numbers in the middle to sort of combat Aston Villa's threat in the middle of the park. I think almost every one of you would have gone, fair enough, that makes sense. So in hindsight, being a beautiful thing, all of a sudden saying that he should have played Max Kilman because we were setting up as a back five, I think that's a bit. I don't agree with that. I think if you were given a choice before the game started, with Kilman in the back as a back five, or Potts in the middle with a back four, vast majority would have gone for Freddie Potts. Didn't work because unfortunately Freddie Potts was not effective, but then no one was. So I think the only player that came out with any credit in the game against Aston Villa was Dinos Mavropanos. And let's not forget, it was only last season that he was being booed, and whenever he came on as a sub. So what a turnaround for him, and I'm really pleased for him because he's shown consistency, he's shown true character, and he's the only one that I guess could have held his head up high with regards to our performance against Aston Villa. Had we not had him in the team, we probably would have been 3-0 down by half-time. it was just a poor performance. It was one of those performances where you kind of looked at yourself and went, what on earth has gone on here? Given how we've been playing, even the defeats, so even the defeats against Chelsea and Liverpool, even the 5-2 against Liverpool, we didn't play that badly. You know, we kind of shrugged our shoulders and went, typical against Liverpool, you know, and getting spanked by them. But even then, that game, we didn't feel like we played badly. But this one, yeah, since the QPR game in the FA Cup back in January, this has probably been our worst performance. It's kind of reminiscent of the performances that we put in before the QPR game. It was lackluster. There was no movement. We seemed indecisive. We didn't seem to be on the front foot. A lot of players just had an off day. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, we all love him going forward, but unfortunately he gets really caught out defensively, and he had a very poor game. Malik Diouf, not great on the other side. Even Disasi just looked a little bit off the boil. Our midfield weren't combative enough. Souček was really slow. Potts, as I've said, well, he got pulled off, didn't he, at half-time. He was not effective. Even Fernandes, it seemed like they'd all been out on the lash the night before, and it was like I remember when I used to play Sunday League football, and you know, you go out on a night out on a Saturday night, and then you turn up for a game of football at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and you're still feeling the after effects of the night before, and it felt as if the players had been out on the lash because they just weren't up for it. And then up front, Pablo. A lot of people are now beginning to criticise Pablo and Tati. You know, when they were first signed, it was like, oh, isn't it great having those two players? And now people are criticising them. Everyone had an off day. Now, do I want to pick on the goalkeeper? Well, I am, because whether you like it or not, you know, everyone going, oh, Hermansen's better because his distribution is better. I don't give a toss about distribution. I'd rather have a goalkeeper that can save shots, etc. And I keep trying to convince myself. Hermansen has had a couple of half-decent games, but then Areola has had several half-decent games throughout the season as well. So I keep asking myself, what is it that Hermansen is offering that Areola isn't? And I can't give you an answer. People keep going about distribution. I don't care. You know, I don't care about that. I know in a way that distribution is important because it gives you momentum, it keeps the ball, etc. I get that, I understand that. But that second goal where he parried it into the path of Ollie Watkins. Ollie Watkins has been on a barren run, and he's like, there you go, here's a gift, go on a scoring spree from again. It was a disappointing bit of goalkeeping. Would Areola have done better? We never know, but it just feels to me that all the reasons that people were saying is why Hermansen is in place of Areola are beginning to not come to fruition. I think Nuno's got a big decision to make as goalkeeper now with the international break. Nuno's got a massive decision to make as to whether he sticks with Hermansen or whether he goes back to Areola. I'm really hoping Areola just... Look, as many people are saying, we've got two goalkeepers who are two number twos rather than a number one. And I agree with that. I think on the whole, I agree with that. I think we've got two number twos rather than an outstanding number one. That'll be addressed in the summer, I'm pretty sure, whether we stay up or go down or whatever. But for me, there's been a couple of goals now that I keep looking at the Man City goal where Hermansen was chipped. I keep looking at the goals that we conceded against Aston Villa, and I just ask myself, is Hermansen that much better to stick with him, or would Areola have done better? For me, the answer is Areola, but we all have our thoughts on that. So it was just an off day. It was an off day. We didn't combat them in midfield. They were more aggressive. They were better than us in midfield. We made the game really, really easy for them because defensively we weren't solid. In the middle we weren't combative enough, and we had no outlet in up front. He made changes at half time. He brought Potts and Traore on for Tati, and he brought Who did he bring on? Potts and Tati came off with Traore coming on, and it didn't make any difference. I would have kept Tati on, even though he didn't hardly have any touches. I would have kept Tati on, and I would have brought Wilson on with him, to give that two-pronged approach up front. Pablo and Wilson didn't seem to work well together. It would have been better if Tati had stayed on. Traore, well, one thing we lacked was pace. We lacked pace, and I understand bringing Traore on to give us pace, but that's all he's got, pace, because he's got nothing else. That cross he made, at one point he left-footed it across, and it just went way over the bar, way over everything. I don't even think it made the half. I don't even think it. Yeah, it went in off for a goal kick, but it just proved that he's got no outcome. He's got pace, but that's about it. Traore, he's not the answer, is he? People are questioning the strength in depth. I just honestly think we just had a really, really off day. If you could have picked a game where everyone had a really off game, it would have been that one. It wasn't just one player having a bad moment. All the players seemed to have a bad moment. Jared Bowen didn't seem to want to take the players on. He kept cutting back. He wasn't effective. Pablo wasn't effective. Our midfield wasn't effective. You could have easily have subbed the whole team, apart from Dinos at half-time, and I'm not so sure the outcome would have been any better. Look, consolation, we now go into an international break, which means it allows Todibo and it allows Somerville more time to recuperate. I don't think either of them would have started against Leeds in the Cup anyway, so you've got that period of time for them to recuperate more. We dust ourselves down, we get ourselves together, we I don't want to say tempt fate and say this was a one-off, because but since the QPR game we haven't played bad. This has been the worst performance since then, so I'm gonna tempt fate and say it's a one-off. I can't see us playing that badly again for the rest of the season. Other consolation, Spurs lost, but we can't keep relying. I keep saying we can't keep relying on other teams to do us a favour. We can't keep relying on other teams to lose for us to just stay in touch. Now, I did say the winners between Nottingham Forest and Tottenham Hotspur are likely to stay up, and the losers are likely to go down. Spurs are in a really bad state. I just wonder now, Igor, whether with an international break coming up, will it surprise me if Igor Tudor is sacked and they try to get someone else in? Not one bit. I don't think it won't surprise me at all, because they don't have any momentum at all. But there are teams above us. Leeds United is still in it. Nottingham Forest are still in it. Spurs are. We are. All these teams are still in a relegation battle, and that's good. If one of those teams starts pulling away, let's say, for example, Leeds or Nottingham Forest start pulling away, then that's down to only 2 teams rather than 3 teams, including us. So we're still in it. We're still in the bottom 3. If we beat Wolves in our next league game, which is on the Friday in April, then we come out of the relegation zone. And then I believe Tottenham are away to Sunderland. That ain't going to be easy. And if they don't win that, then it's down to us. It's got to be down to us. Can't keep relying on other teams, but we've got to start winning our games. Disappointing, absolutely disappointing. I can't argue with the lineup, as I said. I think most fans, if you'd have given them a choice between Kilman and Potts, most fans would have gone for Potts. Our tactics, maybe a little wayward. People are saying that typical Nuno, we sat back. We didn't sit back. We were just really poor. Whenever we got the ball, we just didn't know what to do with it. It's not a matter of sitting back. Sometimes you've got to accept that. I don't actually, I blame the players for this performance more than I blame Nuno, but he's got to take his share of responsibility for it too. Look, international break. I'll be back at the end of this week, so there'll probably be a West Ham weekly next Monday rather than this one. If any news comes out whilst I'm over in Cyprus, I'll do a quick video, but otherwise have a good week, take a little break, international break, and see you all soon.